Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and what I got for you today is a review of the Yizhan i8h. Looking at the i8h, you can tell immediately what it is. This is the Tarantula, but it has a couple upgrades to it from the previous Tarantula. It includes now altitude hold. That was inevitable. I mean, there was a clone of this already out, the Sky Vampire, that already included altitude hold to it. So it was just a matter of time before Yizhan, which is JGRC, which is also Wiley Toys, by the way, would come out with an upgraded version of the Tarantula to include altitude hold. In addition to altitude hold, it now has a 1080p 5 megapixel camera, HD camera, added to it, which is great. And finally, it has an on-off switch right here. And unfortunately, that on-off switch is so recessed. That's the reason for this toothpick that I got jammed in here. That helps me turn on that on-off switch. So that, I don't know, but it needed an on-off switch. Really, it did, because that battery is kind of difficult to get in there. The 1200 milliampere hour battery, 7.4 volt, but it needed an on-off switch so that you could plug in that battery prior to flight, and then when you get out in the field, you could turn it on. So I'm glad they did incorporate it. I just wish they made it a little more easy to access the switch. The 1080p camera, heck, it came with this foam packed in between its anti-vibration gimbals here. I tried a flight yesterday with this foam installed as it came, and I got severe jello on the camera. So for today's flight, I'm redoing the flight, and I removed that foam, and hopefully that'll reduce the amount of jello that we see with the camera. Hopefully. Keep in mind, though, that the Tarantula is notorious for being a kind of shaky bird in flight and notorious for producing jello, so we may still see jello with this. Another thing about the camera is a camera capable of tilt, up and down movement in control of its lens. It includes how many wires we got there? We got 4 different wires. Some of those wires are for controlling the tilt of the lens. Unfortunately, although the plug accepts this particular camera's plug, the tilt was not incorporated. Tilt control was not incorporated into the controller. I tried every button, including this one up and down, to see if we had tilt control of the camera. This is really a throttle trim button still. So unfortunately, there is no tilt control, even though the camera is capable of tilt control that comes with this. Let's go over this transmitter while we're at it. This button here is for changing the different rates, beginner, intermediate, expert. And this one here is for selecting flip, and then you tell it which direction to flip. This button here is for headless mode, that you can turn off the lights by pressing this button here. You can take a photo by pressing this button here. You can start the video camera by pressing this button here, and you can activate one key return by pressing this button here. You can start the motors by coming down and out, but you can also start them easily. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can start them by pressing the altitude hold button. We'll demonstrate that here shortly. In fact, let's demonstrate it right now. We'll go right into a flight. Okay, as I mentioned, I will turn on the quadcopter using this toothpick here. Let me find that toothpick. And I just got a message, YouTube comment. When I hear those little blinks like that, that's a YouTube comment on one of my videos. Okay. And we are pointing the quadcopter that way for headless mode direction. Turning the transmitter on, binding it to the quadcopter, bound to the quadcopter, and I am turning on the video camera now. And we got a little signal telling us the video camera is recording. And right now I see I got some forward pitch on the trim button, so we'll correct that. And we'll do a little calibration of both headless mode direction and gyro calibration. Okay, let's see if we can start the quadcopter this way, down and out. Yes, we can. How about pressing the altitude hold button? Yep. Okay, now I remember. Let's stop it again. You can take off manually without altitude hold by, and the quadcopter will perform as like a Tarantula, the old style Tarantula. Okay, so if you want to do high-speed maneuverability or high-speed maneuvers, and great flying of the Tarantula, which made it so famous, you can turn off the altitude hold. You don't need to turn it on. Right now I'm flying manually. And let's go to higher rate to show that this thing still has it. This still has the performance of the old Tarantula, which is fantastic that they didn't mess that up by including the altitude hold. This is still a highly maneuverable quadcopter. Really fun quadcopter. Do a flip too. Okay, so let's bring it back down, and now we'll talk about altitude hold. Okay, so I just wanted to demonstrate, yeah, this still flies like the old Tarantula. It's still a good flying quadcopter. And we'll land it. Okay. Point in that direction again. Now we are going to do altitude hold flying. Camera's still recording. Pressing the altitude hold button to start the quadcopter into altitude hold and also into idle. And taking off. Okay, I am now in altitude hold. It's doing a darn good job, ain't it? Let's go down the road a bit and go up a little bit higher too. And then come back toward my position. Okay, let's increase the speed and altitude of this. And we'll go up from there. And we'll hover right there. And let's do a slow rotate. In with the altitude hold. We'll rotate toward the wind's blowing it up the hill here. Rotate toward the direction it's being blown. And then coming back downwind, or upwind. Let's go up a little higher with altitude hold on. Oh, that wind is picking up a bit. So yeah, you know, this is a good upgrade to the Tarantula. We finally have altitude hold on the Tarantula. It still can be flown with its great maneuverability. If you wish, you don't need to turn on the altitude hold is what I'm saying. But if you want altitude hold, yeah, it's got it. You can turn it on. Boy, this is the wind blowing it uphill. I'm coming back down now. Get out of that wind there. It's a little bit too breezy up there. Hopefully that camera, the vibrations on that camera have been reduced by removing that foam. I'm not too sure that it will though, because like I said, the Tarantula is infamous for its vibrations. It's very hard to get the vibrations out of that because its propellers are made to really provide a lot of lift, and with that lift there's a lot of drag and there's a lot of flutter, and there's just not a lot you can do with that. So I'm not so sure about being able to get rid of much of the jello, but we'll find out here shortly in post-production whether the jello is still an issue. Okay, what I want to do next is headless mode and one key return. We'll go down the headless mode bearing and activate the one key return. Which button was that one key return again? We'll go out here a bit and press one key return. Actually, that looks like it might be in headless mode. So the one key return button that I said is really headless mode. So let's go over there again and press the headless mode button. And the headless mode button is the one key return. Holy gee. Did you see that, folks? Let's go back out again. We'll go over here and press, I'm pointing toward myself too. Pressing one key return. And it does a real extreme pitch, one key return. It thinks that's the headless mode direction now. One more time, one key return. And one key return, bringing it back. Whoa. Again, remember, for one key return to work, you must be flying down the headless mode direction, whatever direction the quadcopter thinks is the headless mode direction, or it will not return back to your general direction. Okay, I did flip. I limit the amount of flips I do with this thing because you will burn out motors with this particular quadcopter if you're doing a lot of flips. I just don't do them. I'm just going to climb up here, and we're going to do gentle flying now, hopefully to demonstrate the camera. We're going to go upwind. And from upwind position, I'm going to let the wind blow it back and just rotate. And rotate around. That's the wind blowing it, folks. And by the way, that is a Kia Peak, also known as Five Fingers around here. I've climbed up there when I was younger. I'm not sure I can make it up there anymore. Okay, let's bring it down in low so you can see it up close now for the remainder of the flight. Since we've been flying a while, we got to start watching the LVC lights. So we're going to bring it in close. Lowering the throttle. And bringing it at about... I lowered the throttle too much. Okay. Okay, I'm going to turn off the camera now. Make sure we got the video first off. And for the remainder of the flight, let's see how this altitude hold works. Okay, again, I am in beginner's rate now. And the wind is picking up a bit. But I just wanted to demonstrate it flying around with its altitude hold. The wind at my back is really picking up. But I can hover it in that wind with the altitude hold. Try doing that without altitude hold for your beginners. I do not recommend this quadcopter for beginners, though. It's a little bit too big for beginners. Beginners can fly this easily, but the problem is they are going to crash. And this one here is big and hefty, and if it crashes, it's going to break something. So that's why I don't really recommend this one for beginners. Get a lot of flight time out of it, though, don't you? As you can see here. It's flying great. Let's turn the camera back on. Camera back on. Okay, I'm in full forward pitch in the wind. There's a heck of a wind right there. Better go to higher rate. Try to block out the sun there. Going upwind. Over my wife and dog. Hello. Going way upwind. And we're going to let the wind blow it back. This is the wind, folks. I'm just going to rotate while the wind blows it back. Heck of a wind right now. Right at that altitude. And the wind's calming down as it flies through the sun. Good quadcopter. Dang, lots of flight time too, huh? Okay, coming down, lowering the altitude, applying a little more pitch. How's our lights? They're still not blinking. Dang, it's lots of flight time on this thing. Well, that's okay. We'll go up again. Yeah, I'll tell you what. For the remainder of the flight, let's turn off the camera. Let's land it. And we're going to fly this in manual mode. Just for fun flying. Okay, this time we'll take off that way, down and out. So we can do normal flying. And let's go to high rate. Expert rate. Just to show it still has the punch and still has the maneuverability. And there goes my lights blinking. Yeah, it's time to land it now. One more. Okay. And now we'll land it in manual mode. There. I should have pressed that button. Remember, that button turns it off too. Okay, that is a flight of the upgraded Tarantula. Hope you enjoyed it. It, again, as mentioned, it still has the punch and the maneuverability of the original Tarantula, if you wish it. And to access that, all you do is manually start it by down and out. But if you want to fly in an altitude hold, you can. It has altitude hold, and you activate that by pressing that button there. So hope you enjoyed that flight. This is Quadcopter 101, signing out.